Welcome to the channel. I am Commander Tyrael, and this is HMCS Terra Nova. HMCS Terra Nova, or DDE 259, was a Restigouche-class destroyer that served in the Royal Canadian Navy and later the Canadian Forces from 1959 until 1997. After her final refit, she was a guided missile destroyer. Laid down on the 11th of June 1953 and commissioned on the 6th of June 1959, she was the sixth ship of her class and the first Canadian warship to bear the name Terra Nova. The ship's badge honours the Terra Nova River in Newfoundland, as well as an earlier civilian ship, the Terra Nova, which gained fame during a scientific exploration to Antarctica. They are represented as a river and the Antarctic as a penguin on the ship's badge. The St. Laurent class, from which the Restigouche class was derived, were built to the same operational requirements as the British Type 12 frigate, and were powered by the same machinery plant. These vessels were specifically designed to operate in the harsh Canadian conditions, with the rounded deck edge forward of the turret adopted to prevent ice formation. They were also designed to counter nuclear, biological and chemical attack conditions, which contributed to the rounded hull, continuous main deck, and the addition of a pre-wetting system to wash away contaminants. The living spaces on the ship were part of a citadel, which could be sealed off from contamination for the crew's safety. The ships were sometimes referred to as Cadillacs for their relatively luxurious crew compartments. These were also the first Canadian warships to have a bunk for every crew member. Other innovative features not found on other ships of this time included an operations room separate from the bridge, from which the captain could command the ship while in combat, 12 separate internal phone systems, air conditioning, and the latest advances in radar and sonar technology. The St. Laurent class originally called for 14 vessels. However, changing design specifications due to the rapidly changing Cold War naval environment, as well as Canada's wartime priorities during the Korean War, saw only 7 completed. The remaining 7 vessels were built as a follow-on Restigouche class to incorporate advancements in naval design. The St. Laurent class was later converted to a DDH, or an helicopter carrying destroyer. The Restigouche class diverged from the St. Laurent class mainly in their weaponry, with the ships equipped with twin-mount Vickers 3-inch Mark 6 dual-purpose guns fore and a single twin-mount of 3-inch 50-caliber Mark 22 guns aft. The Mark 69 fire control director was added to control the guns. They were also armed with 2 Limbo Mark 10 mortars and 2 single Bofors 40mm guns. However, the 40mm guns were dropped in the final design. The 3-inch 70 mounting was placed in the A position, and the 3-inch 50 mounting was placed in the Y position. The destroyers were also equipped beginning in 1958 with the Mark 43 homing torpedo, in an effort to increase the distance between the ships and their target. The Mark 43 torpedo had a range of 4,100 meters at 15 knots, and they were pitched over the side by a modified depth charge thrower. The ships had a displacement of 2,000 tons or 2,500 tons at deep load. They were designed to be 112 meters or 366 feet long with a beam of 13 meters or 42 feet and a draft of 4.01 meters. At a full complement, they had 214 crew members. The ships were powered by 2 English electric geared steam turbines, each driving a propeller shaft, using steam provided by 2 Babcock and Wilcox boilers. They generated 22,000 kilowatts or 30,000 shaft horsepower, giving the vessels a maximum speed of 28 knots. The Restigouche-class ships were equipped with SPS-10, SPS-12, Sperry Mark II, and SPG-48 radars, along with SQS-501 and SQS-503 sonar. As part of the 1964 naval program, the Royal Canadian Navy planned to improve the attack capabilities of the Restigouche class, unable to convert the vessels to helicopter-carrying versions like the St. Laurent due to budget constraints. Instead, the Restigouches were armed with variable depth sonar placed on the stern. They also had the RUR-5 anti-submarine rocket launcher, also known as the ASROC, which replaced the 3-inch 50 cal on the stern. The destroyers also received a stepped lattice mast. Called the improved Restigouche Escorts, or the IRE, Terra Nova was the first to undergo this conversion beginning in May 1965. The conversion took 10 months to complete. The Destroyer Life Extension refit was announced in 1978, an effort by Maritime Command to update their existing stock of naval escorts. The DELEX program, as it was known, affected 16 ships in total and came in several different formats depending on the class of ship it was being applied to. For the Restigouches, this meant updating their sensors, weapon, and communication systems. The class received a new ADLIPS tactical data system, a new radar and fire control systems, as well as satellite navigation. The class were also fitted with two triple 533mm Mark 32 torpedo tubes to use the new Mark 46 torpedo. By the time the ships emerged from their refit, they were already obsolete, as the Falklands War had changed the way that surface battles were now fought. During the early stages of the Gulf War in 1990, the Maritime Command was asked to have a fleet of ships available to send to the Persian Gulf, preferably 3 ships. Maritime Command chose from among the remaining fleet the vessel with the best electronic countermeasure suite to deploy with this task force. Terra Nova was quickly altered to make her ready for an active war zone. The ship's ASROC system was landed, and instead 2 quad Harpoon surface-to-surface missile systems were installed. A Mark 15 Phalanx close-in weapon system was placed on the quarterdeck in place of the landed Limbo ASW mortar, and 2 40mm 60 caliber Boffin guns were installed in single mounts where the ship's boats were. The ship was also fitted with new chaff, electronic and communication systems. Interestingly, in her history, on the 22nd of February 1944, Terra Nova boarded a private vessel and seized 5.9 tons of cocaine. That same year, Terra Nova also rescued 2 boatloads of refugees off the coast of Haiti. On the 11th of July 1997, the ship was taken out of active service and was sold in October of 2009 for scrap. Now you've made it this far, make sure to go down below and liberate that like button. In War Thunder, HMCS Terra Nova, despite her real-life classification, is a frigate, and that's generally because in War Thunder, that's the only role that she can play. Her 76mm guns, both on the fore and aft, don't have a lot of damage. They don't do a lot of damage. They have no shell options. The Limbo mortar is, I would say, useless because there's no real way to target with her. The front gun is really good. It has a great fire rate, but the rear gun is asymmetrical, so it has a slower fire rate and slower ballistics, so you'll rarely be able to get both guns on target. This is a bit of a deal breaker for me. The shell itself is marginally better than the SKR's 76mm shell, but that's your only option. The plus side to that is it won't cost an exorbitant amount to use this ship because there is no other belts to pay for. The other thing is the repair cost on the ship is rather high at 21,000 silver lions, so you really need to try and stay alive. Let's jump into a game and I'll show you what I mean. South Kavakin, one of my least favourite maps at all battle ratings, just because it's nothing really interesting to it. Got a 4-man squad in this game. Got a M802, Project 183 Grad, and German riverboat, and some other thing. They're getting sledged in the chat. The first thing to notice is this ship is it's not extremely slow, but it's slow compared to the destroyers that you have to spawn with. You're either the same speed as them if they're a early destroyer, or they are much faster than you. So you've got that curse of the frigate where you need to get into close quarters as soon as possible. Another hindrance is the rangefinder on this ship only has a range of about 9 kilometers. Firing on an M802, the little coastal battleship. We cannot penetrate the hull of most ships with this gun. And so we're forced to just attack the decks. Getting into a nice combat range. The fact that we don't have any other shell options means that our effectiveness doesn't really increase as we get closer. Our accuracy is the only thing that does increase. And as such, it really has to play to the destroyer escort role in that you have to stay with other destroyers. Let them do the majority of the damage and you're there to really support their efforts. So in this match, I'm being super super communicating with my friends to make sure I know what they're doing and what I'm doing. Got an Abdiel up ahead, and also a Clemson. Can't see the changes to in the recent patch have also made it so smoke is really obscuring your own smoke as well as your allies. See, as it sits there on the horizon, I can't really see. Sort of limiting my effectiveness. You may be able to remove that in the graphics options, I'm not sure. Got more destroyers here. The best thing about the gun is it doesn't overheat, the front gun that is, does not overheat. It does have a ready use ammo rack of 300 or so rounds. But if you stagger your fire, you generally keep it full. So we're just going to harass these destroyers and let our allies sort of take the aggro from them where we can. One of the unique things about the front weapon as well is you can alternate fire with the barrels using ranging fire. Just hold down the ranging fire button. That's useful when you really need to hose down someone and just hit everything they've got. As you can see here, I'm just spreading the fire around to all of the destroyers. What my aim here is to take out their deck modules, and while they're repairing those, attack their allies. I can't hope to get through their hulls and do crew damage through that way, so I have to wait for the crew to come back out onto the main modules. So here I'm just spreading my fire amongst the destroyers, trying to hit anything flammable. Let them get into a repair state and then reacquire a different target. That also gives me a chance to replenish my ready use ammo. As the fires go out, you just spray more shells all over them. You really have to take advantage of surprise or your allies, and you have to focus an enemy down. It's the only way you're going to be able to finish off a larger warship. The shells on this gun even struggle to damage coastal boats sometimes, and you need a good 4 or 5. They do not hull break ships. Calling out a Farragut to the port side, coming through behind that building there. So this Clemson is faster than us in top speed, but he backed off a little bit. So we're going to try and make a push on this British destroyer. Finish him off while he's in a sinking state. That's probably the only other way too. If you really hammer their light hull, you can get them to sink, but it's not a reliable way to finish any warship. And see there, we don't even get a kill. So now I'm broadside to this target. I have the rear 76 and you can see how quickly it's overheating. And it is firing significantly slower. It does appear that my ready use ammo has run out on the foregun though. So I'm going to go in for a limbo attack. I'll call it out to my ally. This might be the only opportunity. The limbo has a range of 750 meters. So you fire it, and when it hits the water, it'll be 750 meters off the port or starboard bow of your ship. You can get it to fire off the stream broadside angle or rear of the ship, but I haven't really experimented with that. Hosing down this guy, taking out all of his main guns so he can't attack our ally. Trying to get the bridge as well. They are pushing that capture point out at the sea point. So we've got a whole spread of destroyers here. That's going to cancel my limbo motivations. That guy has dropped torpedoes. Fish in the water. We're going to sort of turn into him and keep our bow pointed towards him. He seems to have taken some hits from torpedoes perhaps, or maybe some mortar strikes. And we are in a lot of trouble here. This boat is not designed to fight this many targets at once. Its weaponry is simply not powerful enough. All you can hope to do is really harass the enemies. If you lose the front gun like I have now, I've just launched some limbos off in the hopes of hitting one of those destroyers as they pass. But we are out of crew and out of action. Lucky I have a backup for this ship. We're going to push up a different direction this time. Not quite as hard. Putting some ripple fire, just holding the ranging button. That lets us try and range in and get some supplementary hits. At this range, the gun is not very effective. I honestly don't like the idea of picking on coastal boats too much, so this is why I'm trying to fight destroyers in this ship. But this is not the optimal target. Unfortunately, at 3.7, you will see a lot of destroyers. You won't see very many down tiers to 2.7. We're getting some decent hits. We've set some fires. The crew is slowly chipping away. The rangefinder in the ship isn't as fast as I'd hoped it would be. The SKR-7 seems to have a faster rangefinder, as does the Colm frigate. This guy's coming back with some semi-armor piercing rounds. So it's a lot easier to aim this gun when you're using this stream of shells. Sorry, tongue-tied a bit there. Concentrating on the ranging. Our teammate managed to kill that G-Class with his Grad rocket launchers in the Project 183. I was only saying how easy that is earlier in this match. I like naval. I like naval too. This other guy here is whinging about naval, but I did notice that he's playing the Yubari, and I can't stand that ship. That is not a good indication of Japanese warships. Especially for cruisers. I notice that a lot of players only start playing for Battle Pass, and when I meet them, I try to help them, inspire them to love naval. Our next target here, slightly off to the starboard bow. I'm going to feed in just normal shots here, dual shots. We don't need that extra range because we have replenished our ready use ammo by dying. Right, we have another target off to the ahead, directly ahead. Oh, a Farragut. This is a dangerous target for us, but fortunately for us, he's turning bow in. He hasn't seen us yet, so we'll feed him a stream of 76mm shells straight into the ready use ammo rack. Just on the turrets there. That's probably there we go. We've triggered that. We'll try and hit his torpedoes as well in the back. We're aiming over the ship in the hopes of hitting the rear or the stern of his boat. He's trying to react, but he's lost control of the... Oh, we've detonated him. So we've sent a fire down his main elevator shaft into that fragile ammo rack. So it is possible, but you just really have to have the advantage in the gunfight. You can't let them reply. This boat, it looks beautiful. It handles well. It feels like it has firepower. It just doesn't have that oomph that other nations' frigates have. And it's kind of frustrating because I would have liked a later version of this ship with the ASROC perhaps, the middle refit, or even the DELEX refit, or even the Gulf War refit with the beautiful anti-ship missiles on the back there instead of the Limbos. But alas, this is the one we have, and this is the one we have to deal with. Now, this is an opportunity to show you where the frigate really shines. We have an inbound air target, 7 kilometers. Got the radar scope on him. Might send out a ranging shot, but we'll just check that we're clear. Coast seems to be relatively clear. And we will send out a shot and just sort of gauge how this guy is going. We'll follow the radar indicator. Oh, we've proxied on him, but unfortunately these shells don't have the greatest amount of TNT filler, so you have to get pretty close to actually do damage. Right, in he comes now, so we're doing some light ripple fire. I'm not doing full auto yet. We want to lead him into a false sense of security. When he gets in within a kilometer or so, we start full auto with all the guns. Here we go. You're much better throwing up a wall. Don't try and hit them. Just throw up a big wall of ammo and wait until they commit to you. And that's when you try for accuracy. Let them dictate where their line is. Okay, coast seems to be very clear. hear an SKR's rounds in the background there somewhere. That might just be my post-traumatic stress. Stream of 76mm rounds. We're only using the front gun because I really don't like the rear gun. It's just going all over the place. And it overheats way too quickly. Got 2 destroyers here. Both of them are bow into us, so they're at a disadvantage. So we try and take out the front gun on the bridge there, just to alleviate that stress on our allies. We are getting hits with both guns now, which is fortunate. But you see how they sort of cross. And so that's not a reliable way to get damage. We've got another air target coming in off our starboard bow. Send out another ranging shot, let him know we can see him. We have lots of destroyers taking shots at us with their secondaries. Put some more pressure back onto this G-class. Could be a Brissenden even. We're not doing a lot of damage, but we are keeping him out of the fight, and that's our goal. Send up a spray to this guy. He's a very high altitude fighter. We're getting some proxies there. He's taking evasive action. Just let him decide what he wants to do. He's aborting by the look of that line. So we'll go back to our destroyer friends here and try and do some more damage to them in the interim. Keeping an eye on the fighter. He's not too much of a concern, but we need to keep him in our sights. Keep him in our mind. Not doing a lot of damage at all. Fighter is aborting. He's going the long way around us. He doesn't want to deal with a frigate right now. We are taking hits from armor-piercing rounds. Let's put some... We're not going to give up on this guy. Oh, we've got some proxy there. Another hit maybe? No dice. So back onto this British destroyer. Just going to hose this guy down with everything we've got at the moment. It's frustrating that we can't get him past that 28% mark. Okay, we're taking hits. Oh, SKR, SKR. I know that sound anywhere. Can't tell which one it is. Don't think he has mortars equipped. Can't tell if it's an SKR 1 or a 7. But he does not have mortars. Calling it out to our allies, that is an SKR 7. If he had mortars, we would probably be toast. He's taken out both of our weapons. We need to get into cover. Fortunately, my rear gun managed to take out his foregun, so we have some reprieve from that damage. Unfortunately, I have to sort of repair the ship. I can't go unarmed. So get out of his way. Get the damage control systems underway. Both of them at the same time is okay in this situation. We are capturing the point. Our allies are capturing the other point, so the game is starting to turn back in our favor. We need to warn our ally in the sub-chaser here of the SKR threat to his port. Calling it in, calling it in. He is now taking fire, and unfortunately, has he been defeated? Yes, he has. Fossey Bear is down. We have an airstrike inbound. Looks like a bow fighter. They are relatively easy targets. He didn't have many options in terms of evading that. And here comes our SKR friend again. Just going to have to spray him down. Try and take out his weapons. That's all we can do. Foregun is down. Foregun is down. He's taken out our rear gun. But our foregun is the most dangerous one. We've lost all of our weaponry. And so has he. He's down to 4% crew. So he's in a mission kill state unless he's got an ace crew. We've got our guns back online quicker. We have more crew. We just got to try and hit this bridge, but these rounds just can't penetrate. They have to be direct hits. He is starting to sink. Don't think he can repair from that. And we have won the match. And there you have it. That is HMCS Terra Nova. And that's probably peak gameplay for that ship. If you do get a rotten down tier, you could probably wipe the floor with most of the coastal boats. But it's disappointing. It really is. But despite that, make sure you give me a like because I like making videos. Until next time, Cmdr out.